Hey, what's up guys? Danny here. And in this video, you're gonna learn how I get a 0% interest short-term loan every single month. Now, this allows me to keep a lot of extra cash on hand for my business operations, for making investments, and it acts as a buffer for fluctuations in income. That way I don't have to tap into my reserves every single month. Now, I actually get paid to use these loans. This can earn you or your business a good amount of money, as well as give you like 50 days of buffer in case you have any unforeseen expenses or circumstances. By the end of the video, you're gonna know exactly how to do this, and that is right after you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. So let's get started. Okay, so you might be thinking,
but Danny, we don't have access to this kind of thing. This is only something businesses can do, not for the everyday person.
well, my friends, don't worry. As long as you have 3 credit cards, you can make this work. This is probably the most underutilized benefit of almost every single credit card out there. It could be personal or business cards. When you charge something on a credit card, you get purchase protection, but you also get a bunch of points and cash back on those credit cards, and you don't actually get that money taken from your bank account for like another 50 days in some instances. So how could you do this for every single purchase you make throughout the month? Well, let me explain. Let's go to the whiteboard. Okay, so you got 3 credit cards. Let's say the first one has a statement from January 2nd to January 30th. That bill is not going to be due until February 26th in the example. So anything you purchase on January 2nd, you won't have to pay for until February 26th. So that's over a 50-day float on that money. Now, if you spent something on January 28th, you'd likely have to pay for that in less than 30 days. So that's why we actually use 3 cards in this system. So you set up the statement open and close dates something like this. So now anything you want to buy and it's in the first 10 days of the month, the 1st through the 10th in this example, you would use this card. If it's the 11th through the 21st, you would use this card, and the 22nd through the 1st, you would use this card. Not only do you get a ton of travel points for making purchases that you would already be making, and you can get free vacations and free flights, but you still get the ability to float the money. Now, let me give you an example of why I think this is just so great, okay? So say I'm gonna book a vacation, let's say a cruise, all right? I love cruises. So say it cost me $3,000. Well, of course, I'm gonna use my Chase Sapphire Reserve card because that's gonna get me like 9,000 points, and that's worth like around $135 if I redeem it through Chase. So definitely gonna do that. I'll talk more about that in another video. However, let's talk about the money float. So say I was gonna pay cash for that $3,000 cruise on the 31st of the month because that's when the payment's due. And that's okay because on the 1st of the month, I get paid. Tenants pay me rent, say your paycheck hits, great, okay? Then I would pay my bills on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, whatever. Uh-oh, something happens. Tenant doesn't pay rent. Check doesn't come in. Paycheck doesn't happen. For some reason, there's an issue, okay? Well, if I only had $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in my checking account before I made the purchase, that might be a problem because I have bills to pay on the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. Now, it's important to have reserves and to pull from my reserves, which is important to have in this type of situation, but I don't like pulling from my reserves. It's not a good thing to have to pull from your reserves. So that is why it's really good to have this float. This gives me a 50-day buffer to figure it all out. Now, I'm not saying that you should just ride this float with money you don't have. I'm not saying you don't need a budget. Those are both still very, very important to manage your money correctly and be a responsible adult. However, what this is doing is just giving you more flexibility. Imagine if this was like an airplane runway, okay? In a normal situation, you'd have like 30 feet to take off. That's your 30 days. Or actually, if you're paying for things for cash right away, maybe it's 5 feet to take off. Okay. If something were to happen when your plane's trying to take off and only has 5 feet of runway, that can be a real big problem. However, if your plane has 50 feet of runway to take off and something goes wrong, you've got a lot more runway to figure it out before the plane either has to abort or take off. And what I mean by abort is like pull from your cash reserves. So that's why this is so important. So in business, customers want their things right away. Oftentimes they don't pay right away, and your suppliers want to give you things late and they want paid right away. So there's got to be some sort of float that you have there, working capital or whatever, to make things work and to make ends meet. And on a normal day-to-day, this might be all right. However, what if something happens? What if your tenants need a new furnace? What if some major expense comes along, which you have the money for, but you didn't actually have that money in that checking account at that moment whenever everything has to happen right away? Because it's really inefficient to have money sitting in a checking account earning like 0.00001% interest whenever you could have it sitting elsewhere. It's important to have the liquidity and the reserves, but it's not important to keep it all in a checking account whenever you could have this float in case something were to happen. Also, one more thing. This actually helps with inflation too. But if you want to know some crazy stuff about inflation, go ahead and watch my inflation video, which is going to be coming very shortly. So that's it. Up so the statements align throughout the month. They don't have to be the 1st through the 10th, exactly how I had it, but just set them up so they're roughly 10 days apart, that you can use the correct credit card at the correct time of the month. This works for personal and business. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please comment below. Don't forget to demolish that like button, and also subscribe if you like videos like this, because I'll be posting more very shortly. Thank you.